Ladies and gentlemen, this is Tony Chimmel, the GOAT of ring announcers. And you're listening to the Marks Podcast on YouTube.
My story is never ending. My story is never ending.
You know, that's almost like that song.
Podcast.
This is the song that never ends.
Oh God, you find that with him and Lamb Chop, we're fucked. Welcome to the Marks Podcast. So we got a lot to talk about today, and then a subject that's near and dear to my heart at some point. Last week we talked about, and I was adamantly defending Tommy Dreamer, and then some allegations came out, and fuck, apparently he was a piece of shit. So I have to go. My bad.
Well, you know how I feel about that kind of stuff.
And don't believe it till you see it.
Correct, because it's no fact of, first of all, you have a referee complaining that Tommy Dreamer holding him down. First, the referee.
Well, I wouldn't say he was holding him down, but he apparently made threats that he would blackball him.
And you know what I say about that? So what? You're a freaking referee. Like, how many times have we seen people on this show and stuff like that say, referees comp tickets? They don't sell tickets.
Well, you're the one who has a blood feud with Aubrey Edwards that she doesn't even know about.
No. I'm saying is, who gives a crap about a referee?
You do.
Hey, this guy Perch, whatever his name is he Earl Hebner? Is he Mike Chioda?
Did this man just say who gives a crap about referees?
No, if you let me finish.
That did not just come out of your mouth.
No. Is he Mike Chioda? Is he Earl Hebner? Is he Jim Cavera?
Is he Jessica Carr?
Is he Charles Robinson? Is he any
Is he Aubrey Edwards?
Put it this way, he's not even Brian Hebner.
Is he Rita Chatterton?
No. You know, have more than a cup of coffee in the business before you start saying, oh, wrestlers are blackballing me. They're blackballing you for a reason. Probably because you suck at your job. You got one job to do in it, and if you can't do it right, go away. Just go.
Be sure to check out Gerard Millette at Big Time Wrestling. That is Big Time Wrestling and superstar Gerard Millette. But it wasn't just a referee. He had some female wrestlers coming out and saying that he wanted a spanking spot and he wanted to grab him by the crotch. He wanted to grab him by the pussy, basically.
Well, here's my question for you, okay?
Oh, God, here we go.
Did they say no? No. I'm only asking. He was going to do a spot.
I'm going to let you take over here. I'm going to let you take over because I'm a man. And apparently I can't have an opinion on this.
I'm only asking you, this is the spot he wanted them to do. Did they say no?
Okay, well, I'm going to ask you this. I'm going to ask you. Take it back to 1965 when you first got into business. You and Pat Patterson were in the ring. If Pat came up to you and said, Gerard, I want you to be a referee tonight, but tonight I want to be able to grab you by the dick. What are you going to say?
He grabbed my pee-pee.
Grab my pecker?
No.
You're going to say no, right?
Absolutely.
And then you're going to get fired.
And my question to you, and like I'm saying to you, he wanted to do a angle, okay? Wow.
Well, no, I wasn't talking about Francine. It was some newer ones, John. Some new folks are making accusations about Tommy.
And
hold on, she's got it right here.
Oh.
Hold on, here it is. Here it is, right here. We can hear you.
So Danny Jordan is one of the women who have come forward, and she said, "I've been waiting for this. One time, Tommy Dreamer insisted on doing a crotch grab spot to me in a tag match he was a fill-in for. This had no place in our storyline, but he didn't care to ask. I didn't want to do this, said how uncomfortable I was, but I'm just a woman, right?" Carly Bravo accused him of saying that he said he couldn't hire him because he didn't know if he could sell a cocky black guy to the world. Wow. Yeah, so it was a caning spot. So Kennedy Copeland said they were going to do a kendo stick spot, and he turned it and performed it as a spanking spot instead. Allegedly.
And like I said before, I'm going to say it again. If it's going on in the ring and these people if these people don't want to go on and he holds it against them, that's one thing.
Well, I'm going to take a different stance to this. I'm going to say this. Like, I don't know. I don't know what happened. I wasn't there, but I'm going to absolutely extend the olive branch if anybody knows Tom and he'd like to come and speak his part. I'm not here to criticize him, man. I don't know. I didn't work for TNA. I know nothing about TNA. If it's true, yeah, that's kind of shitty. If you're abusing your power 100%. But if these are people dogpiling on a guy because he didn't do what they wanted them to do, or he didn't book them the way they wanted to get booked, or whatever it may be, I don't know. I don't know. And the reason I say that,
to talk down on a guy who's no longer there, okay? And I'll put it like this. By being with Tommy, I'm sure John can back me up on this. Tommy is a business-first kind of guy.
Tissa.
Okay? He's a business-first kind of guy. And when you hear him talking on Busted Open or whatever you hear him doing, Tommy is so about the business. Is he too overly sometimes about the business? Absolutely. Do I think that Tommy Dreamer would go out of his way to do something like that in a perverse way for his own sexual gratification?
Well, but the also thing is Tommy got, like, this is the thing I also I feel bad for him on. You remember a couple years back when they talked about the plane ride from hell, right? With Ric Flair, and Tommy was one of the guys that said, "Look, this was a different time, and Rick was Rick. It was just, it was an accepted." Okay. I'm gonna try to word this properly because I want to get fucking blackballed now.
Hey, one question, one thing for you, Dan, before I go any further. I'm reading this comment right in. I will say this: comparing Tommy Dreamer to Ric Flair, I don't think you can compare.
No. But what I'm saying is, I'm not going to compare them. What I'm saying is, he defended Ric Flair when that plane ride from hell shit came out, right? When they rehashed it.
Yep.
No one said anything. This was something that happened in the 90s, 2000, whatever. The plane ride from hell, everybody knows the story. Brock Lesnar, Kurt Hennig, a bunch of people, all some shit went down. Okay. Yes, it was a different time. We were different people. We have evolved as a society, and I get that. I get with the stance on people coming in and trying to change us to be better. I get that. I'm not judging that. What I do judge is this idea is that you can be held in contempt, or you can be judged by your peers for shit you did back in the fucking 80s or the 90s when it was a different fucking time. All right, let's talk about this. In the 90s, early 2000s, you had fucking chicks in wrestling things showing their tits. It was more like a fucking Jerry Springer show, and they were doing all kinds of shit like that. And what's going on, Jacob? Welcome back. You could do this stuff back then, and it was acceptable. You had guys pretending they had like big dicks, stuffing socks in their fucking drawers. You had fucking China bending over on her ass and showing off her thong. You had women in Playboy. You had broad panties matches. You had all these things. It was a different time. And if they signed up for it and they were cool, that's one thing. Hold on. It was a different time. So criticizing somebody for that is bullshit. Now, let's move forward. If this is stuff that happened recently with a change in the culture and he was just a guy getting off on slapping somebody on the ass with a fucking kendo stick or crushing somebody, that's different. And that would generally make me think he's a piece of shit. I don't know Tommy Dreamer. I'm not ever saying anything bad about Tommy Dreamer because I don't know the guy. I mean, John knows him. I don't. I've never seen anything that would make me think he's a bad guy. I would say that he's a guy that he's been overused in spots, but he was always a workhorse. He did everything he could for the company he worked for. But at the end of the day, it's got to draw between two lines. Either you're judging him for shit he did in his past, or you're judging him for shit he did currently. You can't have it both ways.
Yeah. Well, in my opinion about this whole thing is I'm kind of, in a similar, I could see both sides of this because I'm in the same boat with Gerard where I'm kind of like the referee who came out. It's like, all right, well, it's like, what did you do in that situation? Did Tommy, it's like Tommy Dreamer just out of nowhere was like, yo, you'll never work in the business, And now this crotch spot,
and again, I'm not trying to be a dick. I know, John, that Tommy's your friend. Who the fuck is Tommy Dreamer in the grand scheme of things to tell you you'll never work in this business again? Just being fucking real. And two, about the Francine thing, I have not heard anything about that. But yeah, he was dating Francine back in the day, a long time ago. He wasn't dating fucking Kimona, Gerard, but he was dating Francine at one point.
Yeah, and I just think like this whole cancellation with this whole attempted cancellation of Tommy Dreamer.
Sloppy, we're talking about Tommy Dreamer and some allegations.
Yeah, but like again, this whole attempted cancellation of Tommy Dreamer. Now let's see what Bully Ray had to say about it.
Oh no, we're gonna get to that too. I want to hammer this Tommy Dreamer thing down. I want to make it clear. Yeah. I'm not talking ill of Tommy Dreamer. In my opinion, seems like a stand-up guy. In my opinion, a guy who gave his heart and soul for companies he worked for and literally like broke himself to do the right thing for the place he worked for. Now, if all this stuff was happening, why is it just this again? Being that me and Gerard have and Trips have dealt with shit like this before, why is it coming up right now? Now that the man has been fired, show me some fucking proof. I cannot. Yeah. I'm not going to sit here and follow hearsay. If it happened, he's a piece of shit. Fuck him. Fuck that guy. But he deserves the right to have his fucking day in court.
It's like, why are we just hearing about this now? Is what I was going to say too. And another reason, it's just like this comes out after he gets fired. It's just too convenient, Like I don't know. But.
Well, the fact that who was it? I just read her thing that said it. She'd been waiting for this. Let's not act like he's Vince McMahon and had an entire empire on his shoulders, and you couldn't say anything about him, or you weren't going to get work again. It's not the same thing.
Yeah.
In my dealing with things like this, is somebody out there now? Let's just put it like it is the lower class on the totem pole here trying to knock off people on the upper end of the totem pole for self-gain. Can't say it's never been done before because it has been done before. Tommy Dreamer, like I said, in my dealings with him, has never come across as the kind of man who would do stuff like this because he loves the business too much to put himself in these kind of shoes. Unless it's proven otherwise. Just because you're coming out, like we've said 1,000 times, the person who gets the story out first, whether it's true or not, people give the benefit of the doubt to the person who gets the story out first. Tommy Dreamer now has to defend himself because people who had a cup of coffee in the business now going to start saying shit about him.
And that's, again, if it's true, that's one thing. But, hold on, credibility is credibility. And I'm going to say this. John has been nothing but, John's one of those guys that's been here, much like Leland, who's one of the guys that shows up here. We chop it up. We shoot the shit. But beyond that, you have a trust in John. I have a trust in you. And if you're telling me that this is a good guy, no different than if Jacob were to tell me that this is a good guy, I'm going to take that into advisement before making any judgment. Not that I'm making any judgment. I'm saying brass tacks, here are the facts. These people are making allegations. This is this man's history. This is his credibility. And you line all that up and you take what you want. I'm not fucking woke culture. I'm not Dave fucking Meltzler. I'm not post wrestling. I'm a motherfucker who's a human being who can make his opinions and retract an opinion if I don't agree with that opinion anymore. But I'll tell you this right now. He seems like a hardworking guy and a good man. When he was talking about being married to Beulah, he's been married to Beulah this whole time. He loves Beulah from my understanding. Any interview you hear him talk about that, he's a family man. Now, for anybody to sit there and try to criticize him, they've been married this whole time with no issues.
It's got to be
Usually, someone who does this shit has a history, right?
Yeah.
Where's the fucking history?
That's
Yeah, well, it's just like,
I don't know. I don't know what the truth is, but you have to take all this stuff when you're investigating this shit. Take it all into consideration. Have you ever heard about this shit ever happening with Tommy Dreamer?
That's what I'm saying too. Like, there's not any like stories out there of like Tommy Dreamer being this fucking womanizer that was banging rats all the time. You know what I mean? Like, there's no.
Well, okay, to be fair, Jacob. Apparently, from Gerard's speak, he was doing all kinds of things with a kimono wanalea and all this other stuff. It was a storyline, you shit.
Oh,
well,
I'm hardcore. I'll take them both.
But again, there's really no stories about Tommy Dreamer that are bad. The only bad thing that people are bringing up that happened is when he defended the whole Ric Flair Dark Side of the Ring thing, and he tried to kill.
Yeah,
Paul
and again, I don't
Heyman.
even get mad at him for that. But remember, Jacob, her real name is Kimono Wanalea. She was born Kimono Wanalea, just as Gerard said it. Gerard, she was born Kimono.
Well, the only other bad thing he's done is try to kill Paul Heyman at WrestleMania. But
what I'm saying is, look, I didn't even get mad at Tommy when he was defending Ric Flair. Okay, let's go back. Okay, let's take a storyline back. Let's go all the way back. You know, my shoes cost more than your house. I've spent more money on spilt liquor than you're going to earn this year. That man was who he was. And in the 80s, when he was talking about the Rock and Roll Express and the little teeny bopper bras and training bras and shit, that was flyable. You know, there was also something back then when fucking gorgeous Jimmy Garvin was calling fucking, he was questioning Dusty Rhodes' sexuality, and he was questioning fucking, he was questioning, he was making Indian stereotypical remarks about a certain somebody back then. That was flyable back then. We have evolved. We have changed. Some people want to hold people accountable for the past. Let it go, motherfucker. It was a different fucking time.
Well, let's just not forget all the Dave Schultz and Hulk Hogan promos on Tony Atlas and talking about sending them back.
Exactly. Yeah, Hulk Hogan. This guy's favorite wrestler, Hulk Hogan. The shit he would say about.
Yeah. And then talking about San Francisco. There's a lot of men who look like women. Yeah, Dave Schultz.
But what I'm saying is, if we go back, we talk about someone like Jimmy Garvin, right? And he would talk about fucking Wahoo McDaniels, and he would go, whoa. He would do these things. He would make very horrible remarks today. Back then, it was a different time.
Well, and go back to 2017 when the greatest champion of all time, Jinder Mahal, when he would cut promos on Shinsuke Nakamura, and he would be doing the Chinese accent. It's just I'm sorry, I had to bring it back.
Okay, but again, so that leads into something else, which I know every one of y'all want to talk about right now. And this, I don't have fucking words for him because this is the stupidest shit I've heard. Bubba Ray Dudley, Gerard's favorite person, who once threw him out of the ECW arena for wearing a WWE jacket years ago, now thinks he can kick John Moxley's ass and how he's going to kick everybody's ass. Now, before you get into it, Jacob, because it's been a long time since we've done a Jacob's Corner, but I feel like it's going to come up today. Gerard, how do you feel about that? Do you think that Bubba Ray, old Bully Ray, is going to kick John Moxley and everybody else's ass because apparently John Moxley's piping it up fucking Tony Khan's ass and giving him what he wants real good?
Mark needs to get out of Mark's own head. Okay? Yes, he's 300 pounds. Yes, he's part of the greatest tag team of all time. But I will say this. To pat yourself in the back for being a Hall of Famer in a scripted sport is not the way to go. And Bully Ray and Uncle Bully, Mark, whatever you want to call yourself, all I can say is this. How much game do you still got left? Because in a street fight, I'd like to see it happen in a real street fight, though.
Did you pop up a picture of Bully Ray and pop up a picture of John Moxley currently? I want to do a tale of the tape, but before we get to that,
I want to say they're about 15 years apart in age too.
Agreed. But we're just gonna do a tale of the tape in a second. That use that one right there where he's wearing the hardcore shirt. Yeah, use that one. We'll be nice. We'll use that one. Okay, so David, before you do that,
from all the reporting about Bully Ray, he was born a dick and he's never left that stage. Okay,
I don't know the man. I've heard different things. I've heard he's a very nice guy. I know Joey Nutella, as Jim Cornette would call him, did not have the best times. No, we're looking for him with the shaped. I use that one right there with the leather jacket.
All you gotta do is take off the scripted part of him, and he comes across as a prick. Okay.
So we're going to showcase 2 photos of these guys. So any of you, I mean, Sloppy, I know you're doing yard work right now, but I'm going to showcase 2 pictures of 2 different gentlemen. The first, I want you to show Bully Ray, and this is him younger. This is not the Bully Ray we have now. Hold on, she's setting it up. But when we showcase these pictures, we're going to do a tale of the tape here, and I want you to tell me, and I'm going to ask you too as well, when you look at these, to tell me who's going to win a fight here. Can you get them at the same time? Are you about to pull up some magic?
Well, and okay, let's just forget the fact that Bully Ray is almost 60 years old, and he's still, thinks he's, this tough guy, who's going to beat people up. Again, I've met Bully Ray, and when I met him, I thought it was a cool moment. My dad was damn near in tears when he met him because, again, that's one of my dad's favorite tag teams of all time. Now, again, we all know why this came out because, again, Bully Ray wanted to, protect his friend, wanted to get all the heat off. You
think that's boy. But why would he attack John Moxley?
I think what happened here. I think Bubba had a couple brews and was, saw this shit happening to Tommy, and I think he legitimately was just he was like, yeah, I could fuck up John Moxley in a fight, and that's what this was probably. Now. Again, Bully Ray's not fighting anyone, number one. Now, do I believe he can fight? Probably. But again, he's 55.
I'm not saying that, but what I'm saying is we're going to put these guys up in a photo.
Oh, yeah. Well, and again, it's just
on camera left, we have Bully Ray. On camera right, we have John Moxley.
Unfortunately,
I'm not going to say they're not muscle and fitness worthy.
Well, and that's Bully Ray 13 years ago, by the way, too. So.
Yes, that's Bully Ray 13 years ago, and that's John Moxley, what, I would say a year or 2 years ago?
Last year.
I would have to say Moxley for one reason. I can't go for anybody who got a Yankees hat on. Sorry.
But again, this came out of nowhere, and what I think it is, I think it either in Bully's mind, he's trying to lobby for an angle here because he kept talking about the Death Riders and the presentation of the Death Riders, and I don't know. Again, all Bully has at this point is Busted Open. So, and I would say LFG, but he's not on that show anymore. So
I'm not hating on Bully. Like I said, I don't know the man, but if you're going to talk about whooping somebody's ass, we have every right. That's him now. We have every right to criticize the man and say, looks like Alex Jones. Let's get a fourth opinion. I'm going to ask you, who would you trust out of those 2 guys to protect you?
Mox.
Okay, well, come in and tell give your side.
Moxley. It's not even a fucking question. And you tried to say, well, he was showing me last week. He's like, well, hang on, because he's always Bubba Ray Dudley in my head. And he's like, no, watch when he was over here at TNA. And I'm like, yeah, no, I still don't like him. Fuck that guy.
Do me a favor, put that picture back up again.
Which one? The current one or the side by side?
Current one.
All right, hang on.
And to be fair, I was saying because I really like the Aces and Eights program.
No, I get it. I know you did. I know you weren't selling him, but I was like,
I want you guys to look at something. I'm going to show you. Now I'm going to take my hat off for this one. He's 54 years old. Look at him. I'm 53. I don't look as banged up as that.
No, you don't.
Well, you also didn't go through tables all your life and shit.
Doesn't matter. Look at how banged up he's a year older than me. Look at how banged up he looks.
Are you talking about him being bald? Because
no, just look at how banged up he looked. I don't have my 11 showing. He has his 11 showing. I'm just saying, is the fact of he looks like shit at 54 years old.
regardless, what we were talking about and what I want to get into with Jacob is
Gerard's backing an AEW guy. All right, let's just take that win while we can.
exactly. Hey, John, thank you. I was going to say I don't know the man, but what I do know is he made allegations that he wanted to fight fucking John Moxley. He'd kick his ass. Okay, well then I want to play it down. I don't think Bully is coming through that too well, especially when the babyface assassin Josh Barnett came out, legitimate tough man, legitimate UFC heavyweight champion, legitimate fighter, and said, John Moxley, go ahead and take a seat. I'll take care of that.
Well, and yeah, it's just, this whole thing is just fucking weird that how out of nowhere it was. But yeah, what John just said in the chat. I mean, again, I was about to say, yeah, the CTE might be strong
What's up,
with this
Rupert?
one, so we don't know. But yeah, this whole situation is just stupid because again, if you're gonna publicly say that again as a man to another man, it's like then back that shit up. Again, it's like you guys are,
And that's what I'm saying. So Josh Barnett has a promotion called Bloodsport. You can do it there. You can do it there. I'm sure Tony Khan will sign off on it.
My question is Bubba Ray still under a Legends contract?
I think so, yeah.
I think so.
So it's really easy to attack a guy that you know you can't fight.
But then again, are you jeopardizing that contract?
Where's the money? Between what he probably makes for
Devon's
John, you know what? Hold on, put that up. John, that is a very, very good point.
No, yeah.
But my issue with that is then why are you gonna fucking, instead of going out and saying,
I'm glad he put that up. I'm glad he said that.
Hold on. What about that? Hear me out. Then my issue with that is, okay, so you did that to stay relevant and possibly, like Jacob said, to keep the heat off of Tommy. How about you just come out and defend your friend? Because if someone makes an allegation, and people have about Gerard, I'm the first one to say, fuck you, you don't know that man. He's my friend. He wouldn't be like that. Unless I got proof.
Mickey James came out and defended Tommy.
Absolutely.
And, it's like,
and my thing is this. I need proof. Show me this proof. Show me this proof that Gerard or whoever it may be is a piece of shit. Then I can fucking jump on board.
Well, I can
but until that point. But my thing is, you have this whole situation, and it's WWE should be fucking thrilled that this is going on because it took away from that travesty of a fucking pay-per-view that happened last night.
Yep. It was pretty. I watched bits and pieces of it. I watched the main event. Watched that awful cage match. I don't know what it is about. Seth Rollins is.
You despise Seth Rollins, and I get that. It wasn't a bad cage match.
Breaker too on Braun. Just he needs to. First of all, Braun has the worst gear I've ever seen on any wrestler. I don't know what the fuck is wrong. His singlet is. First of all, it makes no sense. It says dog on one side, then it says badass because he has to let everyone know that he's a badass. And on the back it says unbreakable. Get it? And then there's a speed limit 23 on his other side, and I'm like, what the fuck does that mean?
So hold on. His father was the dog face gremlin. Hold on. His father was the dog face gremlin. He was called the uncontrollable, the unpredictable badass. That's where and then the 23. He was clocked at being able to run.
Who calls him that? Who calls him the uncontrollable badass?
The machine. The machine itself has coined him the unpredictable badass.
All I'm saying is it looks like when you're in Day of Reckoning, it looks like Day of Reckoning 2, create a wrestler, and you're just putting whatever, stickers you can on the singlet. That's what it looks like. It looks terrible. It's awful.
I think
why stop wearing the Steiner singlet?
I'll give with you on this. I think that his involvement with Seth has done has not done him any favors. I think he was better as a solo act. That's me personally. I'll say that I don't hate Seth Rollins with the passion that everybody else did. You're gonna put it up? Yeah, put it up. That's it. Well, that's one of them.
I'm trying to find the current one.
The one
I
over
never
there,
used to
and the
hate
one in the
Seth
red
Rollins.
should be.
Hey, before we talk,
This is
before
breaking.
we totally talk about yesterday, there's one thing I wanted to bring up too is Tony
Breaking.
Tony Slimeball Schiavone.
Don't you talk about Tony Schiavone?
Oh no, I'm gonna.
Don't you dare talk about Schiavone.
Because he was talking about how,
that's one of our newer ones.
no, he was talking about how the people in the headsets and stuff like that, him not being
That one in the white, which is badass on it. That's his current one.
I'm like, wait a minute, Tony Schiavone, in the late 80s, you did work for Vince McMahon, and he was in your ear.
For 5 months. He didn't work for Vince that long.
But for him to come out and say, "Oh, I like the way Tony Khan does it. I don't know if I could ever work for Vince." It's like, wait a minute, you did work for Vince, you freaking Momo.
Okay, but he didn't work for Vince that long, you fucking Momo. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Okay, you're going to tell me that Vince from the 80s, who was softball and everything, is the same as a dickhead that made fucking Mick Foley.
But he acted like he never spent time there.
5 months of your life is not that long, old man.
Hey, in the wrestling world,
head shitters aside, Tony Schiavone is Tony Schiavone fucking sucks.
Don't you talk about Tony Schiavone. I've been watching Tony Schiavone since I was a child.
The last episode of Dynamite where it was it was Collision. It was Chris Jericho versus JD Drake. And first of all, for those of you out there who are asking, who the fuck is JD Drake? I'm one of those people. I did not know this man existed. And apparently he's been with AEW the whole fucking time AEW has existed. Now, again, if you think Jericho against JD Drake on a random episode of Collision is great wrestling and great for your television show, that's on you. But they had Tony Schiavone out there, and he's like, Jericho's like, Schiavone, say I'm better than Tommaso Ciampa. And then Schiavone goes, all right, Chris Jericho, yeah, you are better than Tommaso Ciampa, with his fucking terrible mint green tie. And I'm just like, what does this guy get paid for? Like, it's horrible. And, like the fact that Bryan Danielson has to be sacrificed to sit next to him every week is terrible. I feel for him. And
hold on. Let me ask both of you a question. Can I ask all three of you? I love Gordon Soley. Gordon Soley back in the 80s, he was the end-all be-all, right? I also like Joey Styles, but I thought Gordon Soley, pound for pound, mic for mic, was the best commentator wrestling ever had back in the day, right? I think that's debatable, but it can be argued, right? Okay. But a lot more people would say that Jim Ross is the voice of wrestling. Would you all agree with that? Everybody agree that Jim Ross was the voice of wrestling,
Matt
right?
Striker.
Shut the fuck up.
Matt Striker for me.
Jim Ross, Gerard, would you agree that Jim Ross is the man?
I still go with Gorilla and Bobby.
Okay. But what I'm saying is a lot of people would say that I'm talking about living right now, Jim Ross was the man.
Oh, yeah, no, listen, I'll tell you this right now. Jim Ross is a close second or third.
Hold on. So as Jim Ross has gotten older and has been sick and Bell's palsy, all these things happen to him, I would argue that he's deteriorated in his commentary skill. Okay. So for y'all to criticize Schiavone, who's been doing this since he was a fucking 19-year-old kid and is now in the age he's at now,
all right,
he's not going to be fucking Golden Boy anymore. I'm sorry.
Well, he shouldn't be a lead.
Not that he was ever the Golden Boy, but he was still fucking Tony.
JR was not that good when he was in WCW, the first wing. When he came to WWE and he got paired up with Jerry Lawler, he took off.
It was fucking magic, right?
Right. Who has Tony Schiavone been sitting next to?
Okay, agreed. So he hasn't had the chance.
He's never had that guy. Hey,
so quit running the motherfucker down. Just let him fucking be.
That just goes to show you he's not great in it because he's never had that guy.
Okay.
Nobody knows. Hey, when he had that guy, wait a minute, hold on. He had that guy for 3 years. He had him. And Bobby Heenan couldn't make Tony Schiavone look any better than he could.
I loved,
Tony Schiavone
underrated team, all right? Underrated team, all right? A very underrated team. But I loved Tony, Bobby, and Dusty together. I don't know what it was about that three pairing. I loved that pairing. I loved I just love Dusty behind him. He's a bicycle. Bubber's coming over there. He got a bicycle. Hit him with it. Hit him with the grill. Hit him with the come on now. I loved that version, baby. I love when Dusty Rhodes working.
Bobby Heenan could not get Tony Schiavone over because why?
Hear me out.
It's the same thing as Justin Roberts. When you're in your own mind as thinking you're great.
I don't think Schiavone thinks he's great, even though he's won a Hall of Fame award. So I'm not sitting there saying that he's great. I'm saying that he's the straight man. It's hard for a guy. Okay, Michael Cole has been shit on and for the entirety of his career, but he plays a great straight man.
For the first 5 years, I could not stand Michael Cole.
Okay, but he plays a great straight man, doesn't he? Doesn't he? He plays a great straight man. He's your color commentator, right?
Now. Michael Cole is now he's gotten better, and it only took fucking 20 years for it to happen.
Okay, yeah, the master of the coal mine has finally gotten better. All right.
Oh god, whatever. Yeah, that was a horrible era. That was.
But what I'm saying is, Tony Schiavone understands it, he gets it, and he does the job. He just plays the role. He's there to fit a role. Why are you fucking with Tony Schiavone, you dickheads? What the fuck is wrong with y'all?
Tony Schiavone just sucks, you know. And of course, he has to sit next to a dork in a mask, and Bryan Danielson. Unfortunately, again, sorry, Bryan Danielson. And Nigel.
I love Nigel McGuinness. I
don't know why they don't use Nigel McGuinness more.
I love Nigel McGuinness and Tony Schiavone together. I think they are a good team.
I see it's just Schiavone ruins. I just like Nigel. You know, I think they should put Nigel and Bryan together on commentary. I think that'd be funny.
That would probably kill each other. That's the problem.
Yeah,
probably kill each other.
But
now,
you know,
before we get back into that, I do want to break down one of the matches that really bothered me. The only match I really enjoyed was probably Liv Morgan and Io Sky, but that's only because I like Io Sky. She fucking kills anything she does. She could wrestle a fucking man. But and I talked to Gerard about this, but I want to talk to you, Jacob. Obafemi versus your favorite wrestler on the planet, Jey Uso. I am of the opinion that this did. What the fuck? Are you having a seizure up there? You having a seizure? Okay. Is the Hector virus finally caught up? Okay.
It's a diarrhea dance.
I don't think this match did any favors for Oba because now you're saying you're putting Jey Uso on the same level as Brock Lesnar because you have Oba struggling with Brock. That's understandable. It's Brock.
Yeah.
But you have him struggling more with Jey Uso?
I was going to say the same
on
shit.
On what fucking planet?
Listen, this whole trying to put Jey Uso as some sort of badass, this drunk idiot, fucking again, that's me saying that. Fucking he literally like tweets out like or he puts these dumb Instagram stories where he misspells everything all the time. And Jey Uso just sucks. And like you were saying, yes, the fact that literally Oba was struggling in a sleep, the fact that they even had Jay put on the sleeper hold with Oba, and they're like, yeah, he beat Gunther for the title with that move, you know, like it's fucking Hogan it's Hogan and Rock fucking with the leg drop, you know, he beat Andre the Giant, you know, it's horrible, it was awful, and it did a lot to hurt Obafemi. Again, yeah, you're trying to say Jey Uso is on the same level as Brock Lesnar? Like what the hell?
Well, but as you say that, I want to make it clear at the hour mark we do have behind the scenes footage of the actual post scrum that Triple H. We got this footage sent to us. We got post footage from the pay-per-view of them talking about the aftermath of the matches. Shh, only on this channel you're going to get this.
All
we're going to show it to you. We showed it to you we showed you some stuff last week. You know, you were still getting this feed. You know, I got an inside guy. He tells me things. He knows what's going on behind the scenes. Big, beautiful things going behind WWE. We're going to show it to you at the hour mark. Let you know what's going on.
I'm going to put it like this. I got to say this. I got to say this, Jacob. When I read this week that Jey Uso has literally come out and said he doesn't give a shit what the fans think anymore.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to say, Jay. If you don't give a shit what the fans think anymore, then why are you running it back? Why are you out there yeeting and stuff like that? If you don't care what the fans say anymore, put it this way. The fans have made you a wealthy man, Jey Uso, and the fans can stop making you get those paychecks.
It's all these dumb snot-nosed kids doing the yeet, and it's that, you know, again, it's really sad. And again, like I said, Jey Uso, it's just horrible. this whole like again him like acting like some like tough guy. And
well, no, the problem I have with this whole Jey Uso thing is you have far more talented members of that family. And
he's not even the best Uso, dude. Jimmy is a way better wrestler.
I would agree with that. But see, Jimmy, I don't think Jimmy cares about being. I think he cares about providing for his family. In all honesty, in my opinion, I think Jimmy cares about having his baby and getting paid and doing his job. Jimmy's an Arn Anderson type of guy. And watch out, calm down, Gerard. Let me finish. I think Jim. Hold on, I'm not saying in work style or whatever. I'm saying as a guy who comes in. No, he gets a piece of paper. This is what you're doing today. All right, I'm going to do that to the best of my ability. I'm going to get in, get out, and go home. I don't think Jimmy's here I think this is a 9 to 5 for him. This is his job. It is not him trying to be famous.
Wait a minute.
He should go get drunk and get behind the wheel again. That's
right. I never said I have a problem with the guy who will do the bare minimum that they ask for. I don't have a problem with that guy. I have a problem with a guy who they ask to do something and he can't even simply perform the simple shit they ask him to do. Or her.
You know, we go back. Let's go back to when CM Punk beat him for the world title recently in the last couple months, right? And he threw a fucking fit. There was a guy named Eddie Graham. Was it Eddie Graham or Mike Graham? Mike Graham. So came out on a documentary and talked about a guy who was JEFF, and how he broke 15 million guitars, never drew a fucking dime. I'm going to say that in comparison because, look, I don't dislike anybody. I don't give a fuck. I have an opinion. I think Jey Uso was a great tag team guy. This whole main event push was nice as a novelty. But sit the fuck down because there's people that are better than you. And my perfect example is this. We have a guy in Tama Tonga. If you saw him in fucking New Japan, that motherfucker was a killer. That motherfucker was the personification of a bad motherfucker. His brother, I'm sorry, Tangaloa, he just carried him. That's my opinion.
How do you fuck up laying on a table, dude?
You have a guy who has a move called the Tour of the Islands named Jeff Cobb who wrecked motherfuckers. And then some guy that looks just like him named JC Mateo showed up and fucked that all up.
Yeah, that was.
You had a guy named Zilla Fatu that probably is going to come in as the son of the late great Umaga and should be elevated to this top. But even worse, you have a guy named Jacob Fatu that's not only come in and in a short amount of time. I'm sorry, I like Solo. I think Solo's funny, but Jacob is better than Solo. Jacob is better than Jimmy. Jacob's better than Jay. Yes, I have an opinion. But you have...
Solo has a note from his mother.
I do. You have a guy named Jacob Fatu who should have been elevated. And I'm hoping this Bloodline 2.0 series is going to lead to something big. But Jacob Fatu should have been a world champion by now.
It is horrible what they've done to what they did with Jeff Cobb is unforgivable. What they're doing with Tama Tonga, it seems that the cut is coming for Tama, I think.
Well, there's another rumor because Zilla has been seen at the Performance Center, and it looks like he's going through regular stuff. I think they're supposed to be bringing Zilla in, and he's going to join up with Solo, or he's going to join up with Tama Tonga, Tamatala, whatever the fuck they're calling him now.
Yeah,
but again, this is the same company that got rid of the Wyatt Six, which should have been fucking instant money. That should have been money all day long.
Yeah,
but back to this match. You have a match where, again, this whole time, I'm sorry. I think that if you're building Oba to be the big fucking deal in your company, African superstar, he gets over, he's got a strut, he's got this thing. You have the fans all over the world, not just in one central part, not Canada, not America, not Mexico, everywhere, going bum, bum, ooh. And everybody in pace doing this fucking, you got a 65-year-old demented man in our stream right now doing a strut.
I mean,
but he's over. He's over like Rover, and you're going to have him struggle. I'm sorry. You're going to have him struggle against main event Jey Uso?
I thought you were talking about the Norwegian World Cup team where they go,
Well, and again, we're getting to a place now where we're gonna potentially see Roman Reigns against Obafemi. Now, y'all know I don't think Oba's beating Roman. Number one, that's not happening. Or they could do something here. They could take the title off Sammy as quick as they put it on him. Because again,
I want to get to that because me and Gerard talked about that as well too. So we have a championship match. You have a triple threat. You have Gunther against Cody against Sammy. Now, I'm all for Sammy winning the title. Calm down, Jacob. I see. Calm down. Okay, we're calm. Okay,
I'm calm.
But I think that it should have been the Sammy that was facing Roman Reigns at No Way Out. And here's why. Let me in Montreal. Here's why. We had built Roman to be the sawed-off fucking monster, and that's great. He won the title. He held it for 3,000 days, whatever. But the build to that storyline, how far that storyline had come, being Usi, all this other stuff, I get stretching it for another year to give it to Cody. I get that. I understand what they were doing. And yes, at the time, there was a thought that Cody needed it and whatever. And it was a finishing. It was the completion of two stories. It was the completion of that arc of the bloodline, and it was the completion of the Dusty Rhodes Legacy Tour, which ended with Cody. I get that. I do. But if you were going to put a belt and you were going to have some significance, what you should have done is put a belt on Sammy that year at WrestleMania. It's okay. He loses to Roman. Then he should have found a way to go against the world champion or whatever it was when that came up. And the reason I say that is because he was white hot. You're going to tell me that this Sami Zayn right now is hotter than the one that was going in the bloodline? You've lost your fucking mind.
The last real good guy? Are you shitting me?
The fans, again, the whole when they put him against Trick Williams at WrestleMania, it killed the fans' goodwill with Sami Zayn because, again, the fans turned on him way too fast. And I believe, and again, this has been kind of confirmed because Booker T has said this before, Sammy doesn't like to be booed. Sammy likes to be liked. And this has been confirmed by him. He's even said this in interviews that he doesn't think he can be he doesn't think he's a good heel because he doesn't like when the fans turn. I don't know. That's weird for a wrestler to be that way.
I would argue and say that he's doing his best character work ever. Other than whenever he was the inside guy, he wore the fucking Cuban fucking hat, and he was just getting into the bloodline. I like that conspiracy theory, Sammy. I like that character. I like this character as far as his character work. But you're not going to tell me he's over like he was then.
No, nowhere near over. The only reason why he got a big pop was A, because they're in Saudi Arabia, and B, it was a shocking moment. Because I think that if they did this anywhere else, I don't think he probably would have got a bigger reaction.
So I also think that another time to put it on him was right after WrestleMania when he went against Karrion Kross. They were booking Sammy. They loved Sammy, and then he went on this weird diatribe downturn, and it just wasn't there.
Here's the problem, though. Karrion Kross was getting over. Karrion Kross was getting over, and literally they had to cut Karrion Kross's balls from under him, and then they released him. Now, I believe that I think him doing that shoot promo at WrestleMania is kind of what did him in. That's part of it, and I think that him getting over more than Sammy in that moment, I think pissed.
But but that's the thing. He's over. Karrion Kross has always had his fans. But they were, again, it goes back to conspiracy, all right? Remember when Karrion Kross was like, they were shit talking to him and saying that he was unprofessional and wouldn't take a bump in the ring and all this other stuff. Who's to say that wasn't an insider in WWE? I don't know, like maybe a speculation. Calm the fuck down, David. Someone like a Dave Meltzer putting it out there. We need to nip this motherfucker in the bud real quick. Let's say some bad shit about him.
Well, I don't know if you heard that. They were actually pissed off because SmackDown results got leaked online when they were taped on Tuesday.
Like that's not going to happen?
That used to happen all the time. That happened because SmackDown used to always be taped on Tuesdays.
They were mad because the results from SmackDown got leaked online. And I'm like thinking to myself, I'm like, okay, wait, hold on. The greatest way not to have your results leaked online? Don't do a taped show. That's the greatest way. Because guess what? No matter what you do today, unless you tell people when they come into arenas You cannot have a cell phone when you walk in the door.
Arenas.
Right?
Arena.
If you like, yeah, okay. It was not an actual WWE recorded video. They were
Hold on. I'd like to welcome back one of our favorite people to the show. the mullet, I guess we like, Mr. Leland Patterson. Welcome back, sir. Welcome back.
You know, you see his last name, right? It had nothing to do with Millet.
The mullet we like.
What do you mean? It sounds like his first road. What TNA had a pay-per-view?
Yeah, they had Slammiversary just ended, I think.
Oh, wait a minute. That was in Boston. I forgot.
Yeah, and I need to go to a TNA show. I mean, they've had a couple out here. Like
I haven't had a desire to go.
I really wanted to go because they had it against all odds out here, and I really wanted to see because they had Sami Callihan had a match, so I wanted to see it. But you know, speaking of Callihan, Callihan got fired. I don't know if you guys talked about that
Again. They say he's going to end up going probably to AEW, and that's great because that's going to help them with their merch because the TNA merch that was coming out while Sami Callihan was in charge was sick.
Yeah,
but they were using fucking the same shit that fucking WWE was, so the fucking product was trash.
Well, yeah, and again, a lot of people don't know that about Sami Callihan. Like Sami Callihan, he designs gear too. Like I'm pretty sure he makes Swerve Strickland's gear or something like that. Like he makes a lot of gear for the wrestlers. But again, Sami Callihan rules. It sucks, you know, how he retired, you know, kind of with a whimper, you know.
Before we hit that hour mark, I do want to talk about you bringing up TNA. And that is the passing of a guy that I'd really just love to watch in the ring.
Oh, yeah.
Literally the reincarnation of Stan Hansen. The, in my mind, legendary Joe Doring. He passed away after his massive fight with fucking brain cancer. He got it back in the 2000s, beat it, came back again. And the second time it came back, forced him to lose his career. And he beat it again. And then it came back again. And he was in hospice. I'm glad he could finally rest. But damn it, if you don't know anything about Joe Doring, man, he was just, from what everybody says, one of the toughest guys you'll ever meet, but truly salt of the earth, wonderful human being. We at the Marks Podcast like to extend our condolences to his family and friends. Joe Doring, you will be missed, you badass motherfucker.
Hey, who's the girl right now in AEW who has ALS?
Rebel.
Yes.
Yeah. So and again, Joe Doring passing was really sad. Again, I believe left wrestling in 2022. I think that's when his cancer came back, and it was right after he had a match with Josh Alexander for the TNA title.
Yeah.
And if you go,
it was the first loss. He's the first loss he actually had in TNA.
And I think had this if it didn't return sooner, I think Joe Doring would have won that title multiple times.
I think he would have had a stranglehold in that title because, talking about, and Gerard, you and me being fans of the lariat Stan Hansen and just his interview style and him carrying his body. My favorite Stan Hansen interview was, I don't want a little woman. I got a big fat wife with a bunch of kids and I got to feed them. Like, I loved Stan Lariat Hansen, but you watch Joe Doring come out with his cowboy hat and that fucking look on his face, didn't give a fuck, just knocked the shit out of people. And
and I remember when he came into TNA, like I remember when Eric Young brought him in, people were like, "Who the fuck is this guy?" And I knew exactly who he was.
New Japan, brother. He was just.
I remember because he used to be in All Japan, and that's kind of what got me into All Japan when I was like probably I don't know, like 9 or 10.
Again, but he followed a lot of that similar path that was fucking Stan Hansen. Like he tore up in Japan. He was a kaiju in fucking Japan. He was Godzilla walking through there and beating little Japanese guys' asses.
You know something, Dan, and I want you to, I hope you understand me when I say this. Stan Hansen made his name in Japan for one reason only.
Bull rope and violence.
The Japanese paid for that back then.
Yes.
He was making Hogan money in Japan.
Yes.
He wouldn't have made Hogan money in Japan because
he was the American. That's what they embodied us as. A bunch of.
What I'm saying is, he was making Hogan money over there because those Japanese people I'll never forget the time Hogan went over there, and he was more over than Hogan.
Yeah.
And Hogan fought Stan Hansen.
And a very technical match.
And hey, look at it like this though, because we were going to talk about the promoters of today and all that stuff. That doesn't go on today. You don't get that cross promotion like that.
No. Well, you do in a company called AEW. Like tonight, they're doing a pay-per-view called Forbidden Door tonight. They're doing a Stardom, New Japan, CMLL. Just gonna put that out there.
Can they just like kill this Forbidden Door concept dead? Because again, it's not really a Forbidden Door anymore either. Because again, New Japan they
have working relationships with it, but that's the name of it. Okay, hold on.
They swiped all of their talent. Like again, it was funny when when Edge and Christian are out there cutting.
Yeah, John. Fuck yeah, it did.
On the dogs, saying, oh yeah, well, you guys are walking in the Forbidden Door, and it's like,
Leland, I don't know. Me and Gerard were talking about that before the show started, and I'm not sure. I think that might be a little longer than we think. Clearly, it's going to be Cody versus fucking Sammy at SummerSlam.
But we can both agree this: we don't want it to be longer.
I don't mind if there's good booking behind it. I don't.
I don't.
Hold on. Did you just hear what you just said? Have you seen anything that shows
that's
good booking?
Okay, I understand it, but this is your company. This is the team that you side with constantly. Okay, I'm not arguing. I'm not talking shit about your company. I'm just saying. Let me hear me out.
I can be a critic of them too. And
time out. Let me put this out there. Sami Zayn can have an excellent match. Go back to his NXT days when he was facing Claudio Castagnoli, known as Cesaro back then. Excellent matches. His match with Shinsuke Nakamura, anything he's done with him. Sammy can put on Kevin Owens and him make instant classics every time they touch. Now, that being said, if he's put in the right fucking book.
Well, what if this is just...
I think all three of us can agree. He's worse than watching fucking paint dry.
Who, Sammy?
Yeah.
I think he's excellent.
I can agree. He can be boring. Here's the thing with Sammy.
I think the current Sammy's boring.
What Leland put in the chat, I think that's probably going to happen. That's probably the most likely scenario because I think I could see Brock coming in and killing it dead. And we've never really even seen Sammy versus Brock before, and I think that could be a really good match, actually. But
Brock has great matches with small guys.
Yeah. So if that happens,
you would have great matches with small guys too.
But here's the thing, that was the first time I think in WWE they chanted "Fight Forever." Yeah. Sammy Nakamura match. But
the only problem is Dan can't take a bump.
I won't take a bump anymore. I ain't doing that shit. But speaking of AEW and Forbidden Door, I am actually curious about a certain match, and I want to talk about this match before we go to our little hour break thing, where we show you all the behind the scenes of what went on in Saudi Arabia. Only here on this channel can you see this. Anyway, someone who's kind of grown on me, even though she's, in my opinion, I'm probably going to hit for this word, she's a cunt. The Toxic Spider, Tekla. I am starting to enjoy her.
She cuts great promos. I'll give her that.
That's what I'm saying. And talking about Stardom, she has someone coming over from Stardom to face her. I'm curious about that. I'm really curious about that. What do you think about Tekla, Jacob?
I like Tekla. I think she's hot.
You think everyone's hot?
I know, but she's she's got a little something about her, and of course she has a great promo ability. I've never really seen her wrestle because again, all she does is cut promos apparently because I don't think they have her wrestle on TV. I'll watch every pay-per-view so far she's been in. She's a good wrestler. She takes a hell of a beating. I'll give you that. She's got okay. Calm down. Yes, I compared fucking Jimmy Uso to the Arn Anderson. Okay, calm down. I'm going to compare Tekla to Ric Flair's style of taking an ass whooping for 60 minutes to come out and win the match. She can take a beating all match and then motherfucker just slips in and wins. And I can't stand her for that, but that makes me like her more. She was in that fatal 4-way and she barely won that motherfucker and talked shit afterwards. I like Tekla. Well, I wouldn't say she's classically attractive. What other matches are on this pay-per-view?
So there's another match that I think that you and me, being hardcore fucking wrestling fans, not sports entertainment fans, Gerard, but wrestling fans, Kenny Omega against Zack Sabre Jr.
Who? What?
Now,
You don't know. See, that's the thing. He doesn't know who Zack Sabre
now
Jr.
again,
is. Hey,
now,
see,
again,
Jacob, look at you. Look at you. I can
like
see your
when-
wheels turning over there. Hold on. Before you say
I liked
anything,
when they
Jacob,
brought in-
I just got in the headset. Before you say anything, we have the behind of the scenes from Saudi Arabia. No one else has put this out there, but we have the actual post thoughts from Triple H back in the boardroom. Go ahead.
WWE champion, everybody. Sammy freaking Zayn. Sammy freaking Zayn.
What's the plan from here, boss?
I don't freaking know. I don't really freaking know. Okay, here's the thing. I don't hate this. I actually think that we needed this. It's something different. It's something new. We just got to make sure we're not hot-shotting stuff just to, like, get people talking, you know? When do we ever freaking do that?
The John Cena heel turn?
Oh, okay, yes, you're right. But, you know, hot-shotting the belt on people just to do it, that works sometimes. Bro, hot-shotting the belt on people, bro, that's the way to go, bro. That's my booking 101, bro. That doesn't make me feel better. I would just like to say I am so relieved to see Oba Femi winning the King of the Ring. Yep, RG, you thought we were going to screw that up, didn't you?
Yep, but you did it, and it was the right thing to do. Now, what's he going to do at SummerSlam?
What do you mean, what's he going to do at SummerSlam?
Well, I mean, he's got to be due for a rematch with Brock, but now you got to do Oba versus Roman, so...
We got it covered.
Do we have it covered?
No, we do not have it covered. Crap. Okay, we're going to get that taken care of. My friend and confidant, Bubba Ray Dudley, had a suggestion that we should take. It is that Oba beat Brock on night 1, and then Oba beat Roman Reigns on night 2. Bubba Ray Dudley's a freaking idiot and a moron, and I want nothing to do with his booking suggestions. I was glad to see old Io Sky beat Liv Morgan for the Queen of the Ring. Yeah, you know, maybe we should have been doing something with Io for the last 6 months. She didn't even make it to WrestleMania. That was kind of stupid.
Braun and Seth had a great match.
They did. They did have a great match. They should have had it like 2 months ago, but they had a great match, and now we need to get Seth away from the Vision. And speaking of the Vision, I kind of feel bad for Braun Breaker. Don't worry about Braun. I know he lost for like the 5th time in a row, but we got big plans for Braun.
Such as?
I don't freaking know. I don't really freaking know. And that's why we do.
What, boss?
That was behind the scenes, Joe. No one else knows about that. We got the footage.
I will say that is Elleets.Wresting Conversations. He has a TikTok, but he also has a YouTube channel that I'm going to link in the description, because in addition to that stuff, he actually just does a podcast talking about wrestling and just doing commentary. So I'm going to put his stuff in there at the end of the stream.
Will you reach out to him? I'd like to get him on here.
Sure.
Yeah. Again, Seth Rollins winning was fucking terrible. I don't get why there's such a, you know, I've said it from the beginning. Yeah, recent whatever.
I'm starting to believe that Leland is actually the road dog.
Shit, we were shitting on the wrong person. But again, Seth Rollins winning again. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Seth Rollins is Triple H's avatar at this point. You know, it's what Triple H wants to do, but he can't do it anymore because his heart will explode if he gets in the ring again. Now, now again, Braun Breaker is done for. I think I have a little bit of a conspiracy theory here. I don't think he really had a hernia when he did. I think what happened was, I think the dude got too nervous because he was put in a position that he wasn't ready for yet. Because again, you could see it when he was cutting promos with Punk. He was shaking. He was nervous. He was, you know, he wasn't that guy he was in NXT. I'll say that. When they started putting him in these main event positions on the main roster, he wasn't the same guy. Something happened to his confidence.
He wasn't the same guy.
Wasn't the same guy.
Wasn't the same guy.
Yeah, he just wasn't the same guy. His heart's not in it. You know, you gotta have heart. You know, to be in the business. But
that again, was that. Like, I see, and that's the thing. John, Oba cuts a hell of a promo. He understands his gimmick better than so many people. He gets it. He
I
knows
love
what
when he was doing the back and forth with Jay. Like Jay was saying, "Yo, dog, I'm gonna do this, G," and then Oba's like, "I will murder you." It's like it was that was essentially that promo. It was awesome.
But again, like that's a guy who I really like. I like Obafemi. I like his shtick. I like everything about the guy. There's nothing negative I can say about him.
Yeah.
It's a damn shame though when the best part of your fucking premium live event is Danhausen. That is a fucking shame. Okay, hold on, everybody. This is the moment where Gerard's gonna put it out of the toilet.
Listen, I want to make the human monies.
SGT Slaughter.
You know? Hey, Liv Morgan, you are cursed.
Yep,
Yes,
it worked.
John.
I mean, again, like Dan became a game member. It's Danhausen being, as popular as he is again something I didn't think would really ever happen in WWE. Not because I didn't think Danhausen had it in him, but
Well, to be fair, okay, but so and I use Gerard as I use Gerard as the litmus test for your basic WWE fan. And if you can win Gerard over, you can win anybody in the fucking room over. And you remember, I believe the word was, he's the new gobbledygooker. 1 week later, all he had to do was say, why is this wet? I pulled it out of the toilet. Gerard is wanting fucking blimps for this guy. He bought a t-shirt. He loves Danhausen.
Listen, I think we all want the human monies.
The human monies.
He loves
WWE just trademarked that, by the way.
Oh, he did.
Gerard loves Danhausen, and so he never has to wrestle again, and he's going to be rich. That's brilliant. It's fucking brilliant.
And think of his merchandise. And listen, guys, what's this Halloween going to be like? What's he going to put up?
Oh yeah.
Holy shit.
Well,
no one can ever say that Danhausen is stupid, because Sting, after 40 years of wrestling, right? Let's just call it like it is. After all those years of wrestling, never trademarked his paint. You know who got him to finally do it? Danhausen.
Yep. Well, and here's the thing. I will say this: this whole machine thing with Miz coming out there like he got shocked.
Leland, I would have shot you in the face with a bazooka.
Yeah, I'm surprised. I'm glad Miz is still getting work and being on TV in a prominent position. But this whole with his hair all fucked up and coming out there like he's shell shocked, I think this is dangerously getting close to some WCW territory here. But I'm hopeful they just kill it soon. But yeah, and again,
to John put up there about the Frankensteiner. I'm a guy who loved the Steiner brothers back in the day. They were me and my dad's tag team when I was growing up watching them. I remember the Steiner Rock theme music. Steiner Rock. I used to love the Steiners. I remember what he did to Frankensteiner back in the day, back when Scott had the long hair. So to watch, I give Braun Breaker so many passes because I know his lineage. I know where he came from as far as being a fan.
I will put it like this, and you'll understand this one, Dan. Athletic-wise, he's far more athletic than his uncles and his father.
Yeah, but to be fair, his uncle?
Okay, sorry, his uncle and his father.
I mean, to be fair, his uncle, was on so much roids,
he couldn't move. If he moved wrong, he would pop.
Yeah, he would pop. Yeah, like fucking. So
I love Scotty. I love Scott Steiner.
Like a certain machine in AEW, it's kind of the same thing. Fucking Brian Cage is going to be dead within the next 2 years, dude. Like, have you seen that man? There's no way his heart is going to keep up with that. Have you seen what Brian Cage looks like? It's fucking ridiculous.
Is he got more jacked?
Oh, he looks terrible. He looks like he's going to die. He's going to die.
Brian Cage, really?
Yeah, I'm gonna put it out there. He looks just saying, not going to wish death on anyone.
But hey, he always says Scott did do steroids, but he was jacked before the roids. Here's the thing. He
looks pretty good right now.
He didn't have the scars or nothing like that. He didn't have the veins. He got into the roids and forget it. Big Papa Dump, as I call him.
At 60 years old, I'm pretty sure Big Papa Dump, as you're calling it, would probably kick your ass. I just want to put that out there.
I know he couldn't catch me, though.
Holy shit.
That was 4 years ago, though.
Yeah, you looking at Brian Cage?
Yeah. This is 4 years ago, though. Yeah, his, yeah.
I'm sorry, 7 years ago.
Oh, that's 7 years ago.
It's like if you took Barry Bonds when he played for the Pittsburgh Pirates and then Barry Bonds when he played for the San Francisco Giants, his head grew.
Let him know, John, that Gerard would love to have a conversation with him. Maybe we can get him on the show so he can put Gerard in his place.
Who?
Scott.
Big Papa Dump?
I love Scott Steiner, though. But,
Hold on, go ahead and come and let him, please. Come on. No. We have to put that out there. We're going to get our asses kicked. Please let them know.
That we at the Marks podcast don't condone Gerard's comments.
Oh, come on, please.
But never call him the dump.
oh yeah, I know. Yeah, Brian Cage married Melissa, whatever the ring announcer from.
What was Scott Steiner's ring valet's name? What was her name? Oh,
I just watched this the other day. Malaysia.
Oh,
Yeah, you know what's shitty about that comment that John just left? Yeah, they have her under contract in AEW. They don't use her ever, like, at all.
it's like I saw this thing that JoJo might be wanting to come back, and I'm like, who gives a shit if JoJo comes back?
You shut your mouth when you talk about the widow of the late great Bray Wyatt.
Yeah, I'll always give JoJo a pass for that. But yeah, no, JoJo was
She was excellent.
not the best ring announcer.
I thought she was right. I thought she was really good. I thought she was excellent.
She was all right, but again, the ring announcer from Lucha Underground was amazing. That's like the best one.
What do you say, Dan? The opinion.
What do you say, Dan? The options on this show are the options of the.
The opinion.
I'm sorry. The opinions of the show are the opinions of the individuals, not the show. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, okay. So you're going to use that way.
So are we excited for?
I don't look, motherfucker. I don't ask you to sink on my ship. I'm not sinking on your dinghy.
As much
Here's the thing. We're so used to saying that where Jacob's concerned. I've never had to say it where Gerard's concerned.
Hey, wait a minute. For as much as you talk about the corporate stuff, you're going to back your corporate stuff. Is that what you're going to say to me?
You're damn right. I will absolutely say a corporate shit that Vince is a fucking dickhead. I haven't changed mine. But see, you love Vince, and I don't drag you down on my fucking boat.
But hey, that's good for business if you don't.
Okay, well, you can have it good for business, but you
creates
we
Right,
got Eric Bischoff over here. Controversy creates chaos.
I have a reason to like Vince.
You're an idiot.
We should read the Kane book, because I have that. You ever read the Kane book that WWE wrote? That's like written entirely in kayfabe. It's called Kane: Journey into Darkness, and I have purchased it from eBay for money that I should not have spent. But I'm going to be reading chapters of it on this show very soon. Because
I will allow you to read excerpts. If you start reading chapters of kayfabe Kane, when we may no.
Yeah, by the way, this book,
if it's a book about
is heavily featured in this book, Kane's apparently his kayfabe shoot name is Glenn Jacob Calloway. That's confirmed in this book.
If you're going to start talking about Isaac Yankem, I think we can get away with talking about Isaac Yankem.
Yes.
I was going to say, I want Jacob to read that in a smoking jacket with a pipe and an easy chair. We'll have Jacob's story out.
Hey, Jacob.
Or you're
going to start talking. If you want to talk about and criticize,
I think you're right, Leland.
The mayor of Knox County, you can openly criticize a politician.
I think Kane's going to be president one day.
I think that Gerard is trying to corrupt Jacob, our sweet boy here. You shut your mouth. We haven't had him on the show in forever. You leave our sweet boy alone.
There was also a book written by WWE that is also in kayfabe called $1 Million Takedown. It is a book where Vince McMahon, Carlito, I believe one of the members of the Spirit Squad. There's another, I forget, and
Okay, you
someone
just
else.
ended right there. You said
Yeah.
the Spirit God.
Yeah, no, and who else? There's a.
So
I
wait,
think
is this
Maria-
book kind of like the O.J. Simpson book? If I did it,
No. So it's about Vince and
Who are you talking about?
Vince
Hogan.
leading a team of wrestlers to do a heist in WWE headquarters.
Two of us are buzzed here, to Hogan. Which one are you talking about?
did you just call him Toke Hogan? Did you just...
The Hogan. Whatever. How do you pronounce that?
Hey, Hogan was, a known
It's
pop-
Coco Jen, but did you just call him Toke Hogan?
The Hogan.
Hey, he was a known weed head. That would make
That's gonna be the next Gerard shirt. Toke Hogan question mark.
It looks like the Hogan.
When it comes crashing down.
Who?
Wait, who won the world title from the Spirit Squad? It certainly wasn't Kenny Dykstra, was it?
That's
Dolph Ziggler?
That's a member of the Spirit Squad right there.
Dolph Ziggler?
Dolph Ziggler won the TNA title?
He
again?
Yeah.
What
I'm
the
guessing.
fuck, man? Well, there's Santana going to WWE right there.
Yes, Toke Hogan, sloppy. Yeah, Santana's going to fucking WWE. You know that.
Yeah. Well, I think the best member of the Spirit Squad currently is Mike Mondo. He's in NWA now. Speaking of steroids, but
yeah, but isn't he hooked up with what's his name and is fucking killing his career right now?
What, with Billy Corgan?
No, not Billy Corgan, his manager.
Aaron fucking Damian Sandow.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, talk about career killers. Damian Sandow, man. Yikes.
He just follows Super Brad Steve Bradley. That's all.
The best things Damian Sandow ever did was when he sang Randy Orton's theme song. All his tattoos are disgusting. It was great.
I like Mike Santana. I don't know. I never saw him really as a world champion.
They had the best theme song he had the best theme song in AEW. It was literally just repeating the same thing over and over again. If I wasn't proud, then I wouldn't be powerful. If I wasn't proud, just like for 3 minutes, literally. If you look up that song, that's literally all it is.
Oh, listen, Damien Mizdow was great.
That was a great gimmick. You can't deny that.
Yeah, that was. Did they win? Did they ever win the tag titles with that? I think they did, right?
I don't think they did. They never won the titles.
Yeah.
And I think that Santana was more pissed. Again, I don't know them, but Ortiz was content with just chilling and getting paid, and Santana's like, "No, motherfucker, I want more."
Asshole. What did I say? No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, no. Apparently, the reason why Santana and Ortiz split was, I'm thinking a woman was involved, but I don't know that for a fact. But and that woman being Eddie Kingston.
Jesus.
It's weird. The whole Eddie Kingston's a weirdo sometimes, but
I love Eddie Kingston.
He's weird, but it's
even though he reminds me of somebody you and I know, and I'll talk to you about that behind the scenes. But yeah.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. But yeah, it's Eddie Kingston. Does he even have matches anymore? Like, is he still wrestling?
My thing with Eddie Kingston is and you and I've talked about this, and you're going to get mad at me.
He should have been the AEW World Champion by now.
You're going to get mad at me. I watched Darby Allin against MJF.
Oh God!
I need you to sit down for this, Jacob. It made me kind of like Darby Allin because that little bastard he works his ass off.
Listen, I love Darby. I always have. So I mean, the fact that he won, I don't think he should have won the title. I will say that. I'm going to stand by.
I just don't like how small he is.
Yeah, he's very small. But again, I've never really had a problem with Darby.
But
it
goes back to Eddie Kingston. I love Eddie Kingston's promos. I love everything about Eddie Kingston. I just wish he would get in better ring shape because he always looks like he.
Do it, so I think he's on his way.
We talked about Bubba earlier, right? And Bubba was very hefty when he was at his biggest. But in TNA, when he did the Aces and Eights, he lost a shit ton of weight, and you can't say he didn't look great when he was in the Aces and Eights.
I am the president of the Aces and
Eights.
Oh, that was funny. I think that was in Arizona when that happened, when you had that cage match. That was a night where fucking Austin Aries got more over than Jeff Hardy.
They were not happy about that.
Yeah, no, that was crazy. But I love Austin Aries, so I can't really say shit.
The round monstrosity of a cage AEW has tonight. No, because we're doing this show, so we wouldn't know what's going on in AEW.
Yeah, okay, so yeah, what's the AEW?
I'm gonna watch it when I get done with this. Go fuck yourself, Gerard.
What's the Forbidden Door card tonight? Like it's
so okay.
Like
so we got.
Matches.
So you got it set up.
I know Swerve and Osprey have a match.
So Tekla is taking on, I cannot remember her name. It's something B Star, something like that. She's from Stardom.
B squared. John Cena's old Val.
No, it's not B squared.
Yeah, it's B squared.
Zack Sabre Jr. against fucking Kenny Omega, and the match I would buy the whole thing for just for this match. But Will Ospreay, my favorite wrestler, everybody knows, against fucking Swerve Strickland.
And then
Mercedes Moné against Maya World.
Yeah, all right. I'm this way. It's the one time I'm actually going to hope Swerve Strickland wins.
Why do you dislike Will Ospreay so much?
Will Ospreay's fucking that promo he cut where he was talking. Oh, I smashed my girl, bro, and then after I cleaned her up, like I was like, what the fuck, man? It's like and again, like the crowd didn't react like he thought it would, and you could kind of see it in his face, and it's just I don't know. Ospreay.
You know why I have a thing against Will Ospreay?
Yes,
because I believe he's Henry.
I think he's dumb.
What?
I think
that's racist.
What? Well, how's it racist?
I don't know.
I'm talking about a white guy.
Where's Hangman? Is Hangman?
It's like, when was the last time you went to a beach and saw people tanning to be white?
That's a great question.
The fuck does that have to do with anything? You see the conviction in his fucking face though, as he says this shit. Like he just, he does that. Remember that Hulk Hogan face we love? Can you find that? The Hulk Hogan face we love so much? That's the Gerard face he just made. If you could find that photo.
I spent a lot of watching Rodney Dangerfield growing up. So
Ospreay's not going to go to WWE because he's afraid of the grind. Remember, that's what Triple H said. He's afraid of the grind. But when he was grinding on the boss's daughter, love.
I wouldn't love.
Oh yeah, Leland, he would love him if he went to WWE, but he's not going to go, and Triple H doesn't want him because Triple H. He attacked Triple H's ego by saying, "I don't need to go to that place and do all that bullshit and jump their hoops or something like that." But he pissed off Triple H, so I don't really think they pick him up.
I don't like him that much because of his freaking accent. I'll tell you,
bruv.
What the fuck? What are you?
What was that? That was like Italian. What the fuck?
Oh, mine.
Something.
What? Wait. Did you just get mine? Did he just say mine? Hey, mine. Fuck up, mine.
He's fucking.
So what, that was like Australian Chicano. What the fuck was that?
It's Australian Tony Montana.
Australian Tony Montana. There we go.
And they get some Vegemite. There's no grind anymore.
Oh yeah, they gave their performers Labor Day weekend off. Think about this, people. Yeah. They work a day a week and took away Labor Day to give the weekend off.
Well, and again, we've talked about this before. Again, I think, not having house shows is affecting a lot of these wrestlers. I mean, we see it with. I think that's the reason why Sol Ruka has been botching so much. I think that's one of the reasons. But
okay, what's Jade Cargill's reason?
Oh well, she just sucks. But that's just that's a given. I will say this though, it did kind of bum me out when she lost her wig in that match, and
that was fucked up.
Yeah, and everyone kept posting it, and you could see it in her face when it happened. You could tell she was embarrassed. So I felt kind of bad. I was like, shit, man.
I'll tell you what though, I wouldn't. I would not wig, no wig. It doesn't matter like that. The outfit she was wearing yesterday, she looked like Barney. If
you look at Hulk Hogan funny face, there's some good ones.
Remember, I remember when Nia Jax wore like that Buzz Lightyear outfit where it looked like Buzz Lightyear. It was so funny. But,
Jake, what are you talking about? You were in your room with the camera off, smashing pumpkins.
Hey, Smashing Pumpkins. Hey, man, that's a great band. The killer in me is the killer in you. But
Gallagher had nothing on you when it comes to Smashing Pumpkins.
Yeah, no, Nia Jax is great. Yeah, Soul is. I agree with Leland. Soul has definitely lost a step. I hope.
But it comes down to booking. I got it if you need it.
And yeah, I don't know. That new theme song of hers is pretty catchy. I gotta say. Have you guys heard Chad Gable's new theme
That's
song?
the Gerard face.
Jesus. Have you heard Chad Gable's new theme song? Can we talk about Chad Gable?
What do you think, though? Do you think about Chad Gable? Do you think he's going to get the push to keep saying they're going to give him?
I hope so. I mean, if he keeps getting,
oh my god, you haven't been here. You have not been here. Hold on. I got something for Jacob. I do want to know what your opinion was on the Grande Americano match, but hold that thought. Y'all continue. I'll be right back.
Oh, good lord.
Oh yeah. Well, first of all, Chad Gable, he has a new song now. It sounds like it was AI generated, but I will say this: listening to it a little bit more, it's a pretty catchy number. Now,
it's like I bet you sing along with Liv Morgan when she comes down to the ring for her song too.
No, that on the contrary, man, that song is awful. It's a ripoff of Renee Rapp. You don't know who that is, I'm sure, but yeah, it's just Liv Morgan's song is terrible. But yeah, Chad Gable.
This singling that came out yesterday. I'm sorry, I'm not in the hip hop world. I lost hip hop when Ice Cube and all that. Who was this idiot that came out with Trick Williams yesterday?
Oh, Lil Yachty.
Who is this guy?
You don't know Lil Yachty? Lil Yachty rules, man. He came up with he has a song called "I Spy." Oh, that's a fucking awesome mask, dude. I've wanted a La Parka mask since I could.
The LA Park mask.
Yeah, LA Park. Yes, you got to make the distinction. But literally, Chad Gable, I think he has this. If this doesn't get over, then it's done for him. This is the last run for Gable. We were just talking about Lil Yachty. Esteemed Grammy Award-winning artist Lil Yachty.
I never even heard of him. Like I said, you know what that looked like to me? Trick Williams and this little idiot guy reminded me of Swerve and Prince Nana.
You don't talk ill of Prince Nana.
Well, and and I will say this: I respect Lil Yachty because apparently it was supposed to be like a one-time thing, but he caught the bug and now he's his full-time manager.
Well, so I'd like to talk about something more important than fucking all that. Hold on.
His microphone all breaks. But yeah, if this does not work for Gable, then I think it's over for Gable. He's going to go the way of Jason Jordan's neck, and it's going to be gone.
There was a match that we didn't get to talk about, Jacob. You haven't been here, and it almost made Gerard a fan of AAA.
Good.
El Grande Americano versus the original El Grande Americano.
Yep. Now this match, first of all, one of the best matches in WWE probably in the last 5 years, I would say. This match was a classic in all the sense of the words, especially the ending of the match where we got the masks, taken off ceremony.
The way they did it was so indicative of the old school way where he said, "My name is Chad Gable." When you lose and Gerard, you may not know this, but when you lose a mask in Mexico, it's a big deal. That's your identity. That's who you are as a human being. It's like,
yeah,
the shit you saw in WCW where Ray and Hoovy and them lost, that is bullshit compared to what it's supposed to be. And so the way they did it is you had Chad Gable come out and say, because he's no longer the original Grande Americano anymore. He can't be. He's lost his identity. I am Chad Gable. I was born here. I did this. This is my beautiful family. I have been a wrestler for this long. I was an Olympian. The way he sold that and talked about that, and then the way he looked over at El Grande Americano. He goes, I was the original Grande Americano, but now, único, you were the only Grande Americano. And to his credit, Grande Americano being as over as he is, when he came out wearing the cowboy hat and the jacket, and the guy, the mariachi player, picked up his hat off the ground and put it back on his head, like it was just so well done. And it tells me very much that WWE has nothing to do with AAA.
Oh,
they're paying for it. They're producing it.
Think about the guy who runs AAA.
It wasn't him. I found out it wasn't Taker that fucking booked that match. It was Pete Dunne.
Yeah, that's first of all, that's insane because
hey,
by the way, people were saying
authority.
And people were saying, like, because Pete Dunne had a match, I think in GCW, I think like a couple days ago, and people were like, "Oh man, Pete Dunne when he comes to AEW, it's gonna be." And I'm just like, do you guys not know that he's a producer now and he's he has a pretty cushy job? I think I don't think he's leaving, but again, yeah, this match was again everything classic lucha libre. Again, like what Dan was just saying, yeah, losing your mask in Mexico is a big deal. That's why it was an issue when Rey Mysterio first came to WWE. Like they almost didn't let him use the mask because he unmasked. Like the Mexican, like he had to get approval from the Mexico athletic.
Wait a minute, hold on. Let me ask you this though. But back when I was the conquistadors, the masked superstars, okay, the big machine, little machine, giant machine. Those guys all wore masks.
But different in Mexico, though.
That's different in Mexico. So you have masked wrestlers here in America where it's just a part of your garment. It's your gimmick. Down there, it's heritage.
Well, and down there, again, people...
Because I'll tell you right now, I would not pay to see Rey Mysterio wrestle without the mask on.
Yeah, true. But again, he did have a cool time without the mask, I will say.
The Filthy Animals was a cool thing a little bit.
Yeah, there is some unmasked Rey Mysterio matches that I love. But
so I'll say this. Okay, so Gerard, let me. This is just heritage talking. The mask represents Lucha Libre, the warrior culture, basically goes back to like the tribes, the Aztec tribes, all this, and the Native American tribes back in Mexico. They all had different war paint. Those masks represent war paint of their heritage, like Dr. Wagner's, the fucking Psicosis.
What about the I'm sorry, the iguana man.
That's just face paint. That's just face paint.
Well, so here's the thing with that too. Like again, it's also their identity too. Like when they go out in public, they're wearing their masks all the time. It's not like and their names aren't public knowledge. Like same thing with no one knows Pentagon's real name because of that, or Penta. No one knows his name because of that.
If you see him walking around, he's wearing his mask.
Yeah, like when Dr. Wagner unmasked, it was a fucking big deal in Mexico. Like he had to
because he gave. But see, when he did that, I believe he gave his son the name. Because so look, Rey Mysterio was Rey Mysterio Jr. for years until the original Rey Mysterio said, "Okay, I've retired the mask. I'm retired on my end. Now you are Rey Mysterio."
Yeah, and
the
again,
fell off.
Like they've still like Atlantis. He's one of the big he's a big luchador in Mexico, but he's like in his 50s or 60s now. He still hasn't unmasked, and they've tried to unmask him for years. Like that's been a thing. Like Vampiro said that they've tried to and they still don't know his real name. He still has the mask. Blue Panther for the longest time had his mask on. He just recently unmasked, I think.
Well, fucking El Demon or fucking Blue Demon for years.
What about the Blue Blazer?
Shut the fuck up.
You can't, they had to
remove the mask. We got about 30 minutes left, and I do want to get to a topic. That's what the thumbnail is about. And I'm glad you're here, Jacob. God, I'm glad you're here for this one because this is one that's going to be right up your fucking alley. So being a fucking historical guy. On the thumbnail, you see names like Jim Crockett Jr., you see Tony Khan, you see Vince McMahon, you see Cowboy Bill Watts, you see Jim Cornette. And every one of these guys in some shape or form has had a hand in wrestling. And I would say for the positive, some for the negative, Gerard would say. But I was listening to some Jim Cornette and say what you want about him. But fucking Lance Storm is a fucking wonderful mind for wrestling. And they were talking about some Roman Reigns stuff. and how WWE over the years has basically designed their audience to hate the McMahons characters. They designed them to hate all authority figures, and I really truly believe that it fucked Roman in the beginning. Because if you go back to the era of the Shield, as much as I love Moxley and I loved Ambrose as the character he was, Roman was the guy who was over, right? And that was natural. Whether they pushed it or not, Roman was the guy that was over. So when you go back to that infamous Royal Rumble where he was booed the shit out of, it's because they knew that he was their guy, right?
Can you tell me, Dan, and I want you to hear me when I say this, at what level of any job, and it's for anybody out there listening, are people happy with the authority figures they got to deal with?
Would you like to know? Cowboy Bill Watts. He was a wonderful fucking good guy. Fucking authority.
Did you meet him personally? Do you know that?
But that's what I'm saying. The character. I'm talking about the character.
And that's what I'm saying. So which place? I want to know who out there, and you can tell me this on any wrestling aspect, can say that my bosses were great.
Jim Crockett.
Do you know that for a fact?
I'm talking about the character. As the authority character, people love Cowboy Bill Watts. As a fan, as you're a viewer, right? They portray themselves as good guys. Tony Khan has been the good guy for all the entirety that he's been in charge.
That's because he's too high to know anything. But
oh God, for fuck's sake, we're having a serious conversation.
Well, my favorite authority figure of all time is Teddy Long. That's just because
but Teddy never played the heel while he was on SmackDown, right?
Yeah.
Now, when he was the manager for fucking Doom, yeah, he was a bad guy. But when he was an authority figure, holla, 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 he was always the good guy, right?
Buckle up.
We're going to do a tag team match. You know, it was always, you're going to go one-on-one with The Undertaker. Like,
and I always loved how, Teddy Long, treated The Undertaker like it was, his own personal, demon for no reason.
They're sitting down with Lee Cole.
I want to go there so bad because I know I can finish that. How much is it? Like it's like what, 42 ounces or something like that, or 72.
But what I'm getting
96.
at is,
oh, okay.
Calm the fuck down. What? They were all like the guys I'm talking about were all positive, and then Vince came along with and I'm not knocking Vince at this is one thing I'll give him credit for. The Vince McMahon character will go down in history as one of the greatest heel villain characters of all time. Cannot be denied. No one can ever fucking deny how great that character was. But did it do more damage to the business as a whole than good? Because remember, the next thing that came after him, when Vince is off TV, you have the authority. You're genuinely conditioned to hate them, no matter what they do. You're conditioned.
What was it, the anonymous Raw general manager?
It wasn't anonymous. It was Hornswoggle.
The anonymous Raw general.
It was Hornswoggle.
No, that whole gimmick, we can all say, pissed people off.
Not as much as Mike Adamale.
Oh yeah, that was the best. Jeff Harvey.
But Michael Cole having to get up and announce a message from the anonymous Raw general manager is like,
hey, that was heat though.
Pissed me off.
Yeah, that was heat.
Right.
My favorite moment of that though is when he goes to do it when Vince is in the ring, and then Vince is like, Michael Cole, shut up.
But I'm just saying is the fact of you call that criticizing. I say like this. Does any other promoter other than Vince get that over?
Herb Abrams.
To get that over in such a way to be a hated promoter as a storyline, whoever tried it in the business before Vince? Nobody tried it before Vince.
Yeah.
Was that because of ego, you think?
Let me ask you, I think because it was a roll of the dice thing, and it all came out of the Bret Hart situation. That doesn't happen the way it happens. We might not ever see Vince McMahon as heel character.
And on the other side of the coin, in ECW, Paul Heyman was God, to the fans. Like they're like he would come out there and get like the biggest reactions on the show sometimes.
Again, but that what I would call that the negative side of things, and hear me out, because so where Vince I think ruined
I'll be right
did
back.
damage to the business being that heel character for so fucking long that now that the audience is conditioned to hate any authority figure. I think Paul ruined it in the positive light because they were willing to martyr themselves for a guy who wasn't on stable ground. Great thinker, great ideas, needed to be reined in. So I think ECW's downfall, and admittedly, was because of Paul Heyman.
Well,
I will also.
We can go back to the Vern Gagnon and stuff like that, to where Greg Gagnon, and we can go back to all these other guys who had those territory things.
Yeah, but see, John, hold on, John.
Vince,
I don't know what I don't. Vince has enough money still left in the company, being a shareholder. I don't know what he does. He could sell all his stock.
Listen, in the past,
I'll be playing with you, John. I don't care. I really don't care what Vince does. I could give two fucks as long as he stays.
I think we've seen more in the past couple of weeks about people come out and saying, even at his age, Vince McMahon belongs somewhere in the corporate part of wrestling. It doesn't matter what company he's doing it for, but for the corporate part, Vince McMahon needs to belong somewhere in wrestling.
You believe that. Let's correct that. You believe that.
I'm just not me saying it. I've seen other people say it.
I leave for a minute, and we're talking about Vince coming back again.
And I'm saying to you like this.
So no, Jacob, no. See, Gerard's of the opinion that Vince needs to be in touch or involved in wrestling somehow. He should be prominent. I don't give a fuck. I think the guy should sit there.
No, I'm just saying like this. There's been multiple guys who come out in the past couple weeks and have said, does Vince McMahon belong in a role of a business part in any wrestling business? Yes, he does. Nobody wants to see him creatively, but
I don't want to see him at all.
But they're saying in a business role, Vince McMahon makes business sense.
At some points, yeah. I think TKO is just killing them money-wise.
Yes.
Well, when TKO first got started, Ari Emanuel came out and said, part of the deal was, for TKO to exist was that Vince was going to be involved. Until the bad, the head shitting happened, he would still be there right now.
The thing is, the man's almost 80 years old. You can't keep leaning on Vince like a crutch. At some point, wrestling has to find its legs and exist without him and build the business without him. He's not going to be around forever. So bringing him into another company, even from the business acumen sense, they need to get on the board, and he has 40 years of shit they can learn from. You don't need him now, and you're not going to have him in 10 years. So figure it the fuck out or shut your business down. So what you're saying right there is what these guys want to do. They want to be able to bring him in, get those fresh, hot faces in there. Okay, Vince, can you teach these guys everything?
You don't need him
to teach. What he did for the last 50 years.
But no, because listen, there's
you see what I deal with every time we have this discussion. He wants to bring him back.
No, listen. The old discussion of, I'm going to teach you everything you need to know.
What does he need to teach them?
And he can hold a class or a meeting off-site, off TV, off of paper.
So what he needs to do is he needs to rent a place at a local Connecticut community center.
Yep.
And have him teach a class for an hour a week.
He
can tutor them, but he doesn't need to be on anybody's payroll teaching them how to do this.
Look, what he needs to do is he needs to go in front of the locker room like Hulk Hogan did and apologize and say, look, whatever you put, you got to be careful about what you post on social media.
Hey, he still hasn't been found guilty of anything.
Okay, I'm not. Okay, look. Okay, Gerard. I need you to listen. It's not about that. Listen to me. Okay, you always tell me listen to you. Listen to me for once on this. Okay, talking about bookers, talking about Vince, talking about positivity.
The power of positivity.
You can literally go back and look at 50 years of business of what he's done. You don't need him for that. There's a template. Treat the fans properly. Always keep seats open for those underprivileged or those who are working class, blue collar folks. Never alienate people. Treat your folks with respect. It's not hard. It's not that fucking hard. You don't have to bring him back to do that.
No, I'm not saying to bring him back to WWE.
I'm not saying anywhere. Anywhere.
In the past couple of weeks, more than one guy, a couple of guys that come out and say, is he still good for the industry?
No.
And they said yes.
No.
Well, here's the thing, though. I mean, Triple H.
Wait, hold on. I want to hear who has said yes.
Somebody like you got guys like Teddy Long out there talking about Vince. The business still needs Vince McMahon.
So Teddy Long. Who else?
Oh,
Now, that was crazy when Teddy Long said that Vince. First of all, that a bust of Vince McMahon's head is his prized possession. I immediately, again,
Questioning everything about Teddy Long.
Yes, that it made me very sad because I love Teddy Long. Like I said, he's one of my favorite general managers of all time.
Holla, holla, holla.
It gave me Stockholm syndrome when I heard that.
I am not. This is not me accusing Vince of anything. You're right. He hasn't been convicted of shit. I still think he's a piece of shit human being. It's my opinion. Just like we talked about Tommy Dreamer at the top of the show.
Listen, I was saying it before, and I'll say it again with you. I'm not saying Vince McMahon is your altar boy.
But I'm also saying I don't need him back in any company doing any business, doing shit. He needs to sit on his ass. Actually, what I would suggest for Vince is this. I need him to go out and buy a car driving simulator, put it in his garage, and practice on that 3 hours a day.
My favorite match.
I thought you were going to say
God for a bit.
Thank you, Tiss.
When Vince was God for a bit, that was the best storyline ever, and I think he needs to come back and do that. Just come out there and say hallelujah over and over again. And, Vince was great.
If we're talking, so this is transition into actual writers, okay? If we're talking about bookers, who do I want to be there? I would definitely get rid of Bruce Pritchard.
And he's about to come back.
I would definitely get rid of Michael Hayes.
He needs to go a long time ago.
Yeah.
And I would look to people like, if I'm asking, I like what Chris Parks has done. I like some of the stuff he's done. I like Pete Dunne in there. I would love to see Dallas Page just from a different perspective to see what he could bring to the table.
They could bring in Sami Callihan. There's really no reason why they could.
But the ultimate guy that I want and I would love to see, TJ's great. TJ's a great booker. I would love to see, honestly, the guy that I really think that he might have some of his father's natural talent, Dustin Rhodes. That's the booker I want. I want to see Dustin Rhodes and see what he can do.
He's too far up Tony Khan's ass, bro. He's
I'm just in general, in any company,
we talked about that many moons ago.
Oh, Natty would be a good one. That's a good one, John.
No, we talked about it many moons ago when talking about Dustin. Okay, the problem.
Mickey James would be a good one too.
I think Mickey James would be great. I think Mickey James has great.
Well, and here's the thing: if they need to really just start pushing some of these guys out. And again, going to Undertaker. Undertaker is probably the one who was with Vince the most, other than Triple H.
Well, but I'm talking about just booking. I think good bookers. That's what I mean. I think when the time comes, I think Sheamus could make a good booker. I think that guy his name just popped in my head. I think Sheamus would make a great booker.
I think Punk would make a great booker too when he's done. Punk would be great.
I don't know. That's the thing. I don't know. I don't. And this is not a knock at him. I think Ziggler could make a really good booker.
Hey, that's a good
because he knows what not to do. He knows how to get fucked in the company.
Look at that comment right there.
Which one?
By Lee.
But it doesn't matter who's in the room. If RM, no, absolutely. We're talking fantasy booking. Fuck. Okay, we're talking about Mark's Pro Wrestling. All right, we're talking about MPW. All right, we're talking about if we have we could pick any three people to book our show as far as the men's, the women's, and the tag teams.
If I'm picking my head booker, I would probably pick. It's a toss up. I would go for probably Abyss, or Bobby Roode, one of those two.
I was gonna say that Bobby Roode sound as a guy. Fucking Lance Storm, man. Lance Storm I
think James Storm would make a great producer.
I think James Storm. You point him there, he'll get it done. I think he's a working guy. You point him to do something, he'll do it. I don't know about his ideas.
Let me ask you this, and I want you both to hear me on this. Who's your Pat Patterson?
What'd you say?
Who's your Pat Patterson?
Right there.
That's a good question. I would say,
honestly, you're going to call me crazy when I say this because he's so bitter and pissed off. Bret Hart.
Oh, Bret Hart's a good choice.
I think Bret Hart would be he knows he was the man. He understood it.
Virginia
someone like Brett would be great. Honestly, I would go with like someone like Mickey James in that role too. Like again, that's.
I think for the women's division, 100%. I don't think Mickey has the, let's just say, the chops to be the head booker.
Because my thing is, like, you guys understand this too, is to get that guy who was a mid-carder at best, because we can all say Pat Patterson was never the top guy. That mid guy at best who says, you know what, I can do better being helping these other guys out than putting my own career in. Because let's just say it like it is. That's exactly what Pat did. Pat put his own career on hold to help out.
Well, here's a guy that y'all might think I'm crazy. Another guy. But for your lower divisions, I think Gregory Helms.
Oh, yeah, that's a good pick.
Gregory Helms, the Hurricane, would make an excellent booker because he's been everywhere. He's seen everything. He knows how,
But he's been there for years now, and guess what? He's part of the 100.
But they don't. That's the thing. Like okay, Cornette
Jason Jordan. I'm sick and tired of seeing Jason Jordan, Jamie Noble, and freaking Hurricane Helms on my TV for every stupid.
But that's the thing, Gerard. They don't give them opportunity. Okay, Cornette said it best once when he was in TNA, and they were talking about him and Dutch and how they fired all the fucking all the agents. All you need to make good wrestling is a booker and a guy that helps the booker. That's it. You don't need a whole fucking army of fucking Hollywood writers. You need one guy and a guy that helps the guy. And I think that's where we got away with. That's why I said 3, because wrestling is so big now as far as a grand scheme that you probably need one guy and 2 assistants. And
it's crazy because a picture came out recently of all the producers like at WrestleMania, and like it's so funny just seeing it was like Kenny Dykstra, Jamie Noble, Daivari, and this is just the fucking mid 2000s lower mid card.
But that's the thing. Where you're worried about mid card guys, I'm talking about main event players, right?
I think AJ Styles would be good in that role.
I was going to say that AJ Styles. I think AJ Styles, Taker. I think Taker has some pretty good ideas.
Yeah. I mean, he's proven that with AAA already. Shit. I mean, that's the #1 show in WWE now. It's not even close.
And, Leland's going to love this, but I think that Road Dogg he's bold enough. Okay, so I would say you need a head booker, a guy that comes up with who makes the final decision. You need a more veteran class guy who's been doing it for a while and knows basic mentality. But then you need that fucking wild card. And I think a guy like Road Dogg is that wild guy that can just throw one of those ideas out there, and maybe you can mold it into something better.
Here's my question for you when it comes to something like that. So we would all say Road Dogg at his best was an enhancement talent, okay? He's grown up in the business. His brother grew up in the business. If they were that good at what they're doing, why could they never last in the business?
Personal demons. Why did William Regal?
William Regal.
But William Regal, he never was a world champion. Why? Because his own personal demons. Jake the Snake should have been a world champion. Why was he not?
Did you hear? Let me tell you. I just asked you who your Pat Patterson should be. The name you just mentioned should be that name.
William Regal?
William Regal should be that guy.
But he doesn't want it. That's the thing.
No. I'm saying is though, I firmly believe William Regal is in a mind way is a Pat Patterson kind of like way. But the problem with that is this.
I know who my Pat Patterson is. Right now, I know exactly who my Pat Patterson is. Daniel Bryan.
Yeah.
Daniel Bryan.
You don't know, but here's my question for you, though. Which Daniel Bryan are you talking about?
Daniel Bryan right now that's working in AEW as a commentator.
Daniel Bryan?
No, I'm not. We're not talking about concussion. We're talking about a guy who has knowledge of the business, not wrestling anymore, just his mind. Daniel Bryant. Bryan Danielson would be my booker.
Well, and here's the thing.
He's not doing a great job in AEW.
He's not booking AEW.
Bryan Danielson is the one who trained Jade Cargill, supposedly. So I don't know. He doesn't really have a good track record with talent.
I'm not talking about training. I'm talking about understanding booking.
Yeah, no, I think Danielson would be great in the role. Again, I think Punk would be great in that role too.
There you go. There's your triad. Daniel Bryant, Nigel McGuinness, CM Punk.
Yeah.
How do you fail?
Yeah, literally.
I'll tell you how you feel. Because you know what Pat's biggest strength was? He was able to sell the wrestlers the idea. That was his biggest strength. These guys today, to get to sell the wrestlers on their ideas, when the wrestlers don't want to go into business for themselves.
Okay, but you're thinking. We're just talking about hypotheticals. Okay,
and that's what I'm saying to you is the guys today that you just mentioned to be able to sell the shit. Do
you understand? Okay. So we'll use the company he's in for example. Okay. Bryan Danielson is over with the entire locker room. He's got them behind him. So if he says jump, they say how high. There's a respect level there.
Well, and Tony Khan's already pretty much said that like Daniel Bryan is kind of like his right hand guy, like when it comes to stuff. I mean, he's the one
he runs shit by Daniel Bryan. And you know what I find hilarious about that? I'm more excited to watch and this is the least excited I've been for a AEW program, but I would absolutely want to watch it. AEW, whether you want to admit it or not, right now is on the upswing. The wrestling is better. The stories are better. And whether anybody wants to admit it or not, do you want to watch NXT tonight? Really? I don't even know.
I don't know, man. I'm waiting for that. What's his name now? Naraku versus Tony D. Fucking the worst NXT champion of all time. And again, if Naraku doesn't win that belt tonight, if Evil doesn't become the NXT champion tonight, what the fuck are we doing? And who else? What we got? We got Miles Bourne. I think he's.
I don't know half the. Okay, look, NXT. When I started watching it way back when Gerard called it Next, had Bray Wyatt, you had C.J. Parker, you had Bayley, you had Charlotte Flair, you had all this stuff, and it was building. Hold on, and then it hit the Golden Black brand where it became pinnacle.
You had Sylvester LaFleur. Remember that guy?
I remember Sylvester LaFleur. I remember yes. You had fucking Tommaso Ciampa, Johnny Gargano, the undisputed era. You had Ricochet in his prime. I mean, you had some misses in like Lars Sullivan, but you had all this great fucking talent. And then it fell off into whatever Vince turned it into the Rainbow Bright version. Yay! And it sucked. And it has not recovered since.
Well, and again, like, you know, out of that was spawned the Tony D'Angelo, spawns Miles Bourne. We got
the Ricky Saints.
Yeah, we got Ricky Saints. You know, that was okay for a cup of coffee.
No, it wasn't.
But yeah, we got Miles Bourne wrestling Tavion Heights. Tavion Heights. What a great name for a wrestler that is. Miles Bourne, he's not going to be able to hear most of the things anyways, so, it's fine.
You have someone like Thea Hale who should be at the top of your women's division.
Yeah, she's a dork.
Fuck you. Thea Hale, yeah. Wait, she's the one that you don't find attractive? Really?
Yeah, she's a dork.
Who?
Thea Hale.
I love Thea Hale.
I lost respect for her when she made that video crying and like, I'm a 22-year-old girl and I'm just a baby, even though I work for WWE and I make a shit ton of money,
Hey, before we go, I gotta say one thing. Is anything from yesterday make you want to watch SummerSlam right now?
Nothing from the last 6 months makes me want to watch shit from WWE. The only thing they got going for them that I like is, of course, Danhausen, Io Sky, and I would rather watch AAA, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it's terrible. Again, SummerSlam's 2 nights this year, which is stupid. And yeah, if we're getting Brock and Roman, I mean not Brock and Roman, Roman and Oba. I'm not looking forward to that match. Roman sucks now. This bloodline story needs to die a horrible death, but it's only going to continue. And with their Samoan titty disease, it's awful. And yes, I said Samoan titty disease because they all get that surgery, that gyno surgery. Like I swear every single one of those Samoans have had that surgery.
Hey Dan, your new shirt, Samoan titty.
Samoan.
I have nothing to do with that.
Samoan titty disease. That's a new shirt.
like I said, NXT, like
Samoa
Jacob, honestly, have you kept up with anything with AEW?
I haven't watched the past Dynamites, but like I said, I watched Collision with Jericho and JD Drake, so that's the last.
So
I saw.
I'm asking you, have you
Yeah,
seen
again,
this stuff?
talking about Kenny Omega. With Kenny Omega and Zack Sabre Jr., I was happy that they brought out the rest of TMDK, because I do love that faction. I'm hoping, my hope is that this leads to the return of a certain guy who tours of the islands, because that would be cool. Because I think
What I'm saying is, Jacob, are you more excited to watch where the future of AEW is, or are you more excited to see what WWE is going to do?
Yeah, I don't know. I think that Seth Rollins. I think he has a big future ahead.
The reason I asked because last year around this same time, you were done with like AEW. This is boring. You hated John Moxley. Get fucking rid of the belt. He's in a fucking briefcase. All this shit. Blah blah blah. And now we're at a different time. We're a different space. It's a year later. I was with you. I was over fucking AEW. It was like, man, what the fuck are they doing? You can from 365 days ago to now. It's a whole new ball game for me. I have enjoyed what I've seen. Yep. I love MJF's character. They made me like Darby fucking Allin. Fuck them.
Yeah, MJF winning the title definitely brought some steam back into it. So yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to it. I just know I'll never really be a fan of Kenny Omega matches that much, but this match I look forward to because I like Sabre Jr. So it's interesting. It's interesting right now. I don't think Mark Briscoe should be challenging for the AEW World Title right now.
I think it's a place filler. I think ultimately we're going to get fucking Ospreay versus MJF. Or Kenny Omega versus that can't. They better not do that. I love Kenny, but no.
Yeah, no, Kenny Omega versus Ospreay for no, they shouldn't do that. Because for one, they've done that before, and number two, when they did it, it wasn't good. So it's.
So we're still talking. We're
Cody Rhodes and Kenny Omega had remember that match? That match sucked
too. Fucking John. So we're coming to the end. Gerard, what about WWE? You asked the question. I'm gonna ask you back. What are you looking forward to at WWE?
I'm interested to see where this Sammy title reign goes, and that's pretty much it. But it's more interested, you're kind of waiting for a car crash to happen a little bit, but yeah, that's about
it. That's it?
No.
That's it? That's all you're looking forward to, Gerard?
More Samoan titty disease.
What I'm looking forward to...
Oh, that might actually happen, Leland. You might be onto something there.
Well, so Gerard, what are you looking forward to? You're like that's your brand. What are you looking forward to?
Al Snow.
Anything better than what they're putting out now.
Well, no, but then why do you watch it? If you got nothing to look forward to, why?
Fucking Al Snow. You want to see Simon Dean come back.
Yes.
It's one of those things to where can it get any worse?
Yes. And I lived through the John Cena era. And apparently
the Bastion Boogers, the Duke the Dumpster Drosies and stuff like that. Yes, I live through those too.
Hey, remember making
and I live for you every week.
And listen, the Goon. Oh my God.
Yeah, Make a Difference Fought 2 was great. The Sultan, remember the Sultan? He had his tongue cut out.
I'm just saying it's like this.
All of you Marks have been listening to the Marks Podcast on YouTube.